these off because they have glare. There's a lot of different things that I want to talk about and I want to share with you. And um, they're kind of all over the place. I do want to say that eventually these videos are going to be showing things I'm doing, if I'm cooking, or if I'm gardening, or if I'm decorating, or if I'm, activities. Um, I'm very close to getting a new phone that I can use for a camera, and I've got a somewhat rickety tripod back here. So I will be able to make those videos in the future, but at the time I'm pretty much stuck with just a webcam. The phone that I have is really, really bad, poor quality when it comes to camera. So if you'll bear with me, there will be videos of me walking around doing things and you'll be able to see more. Right now, it's pretty much just talkie videos, and it's also, probably my first 25 or 30 videos will be talkie videos. So, just bear with me as the channel grows. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this video is what I want to call personal renovation. So, most of us have at some point in our life lived in a house that was older when we bought it, or, we raised our kids and then, it got to a point that it was older and needed some TLC, needed to be renovated. And I have helped with, house renovations, and they can be really intense and they can cause a lot of disturbance. You tear out your kitchen and, you don't have a working kitchen and you have to kind of go primitive for a while. I mean, you name it, I've kind of done it. But there are periods in our life, and this, sometimes I say things, and somebody that knows what I went through with the whole mesenteric tendonitis and my dying gallbladder, I'll say things like, "Oh, I just feel like a new person this morning," and they panic because haven't you done that like already 3 times? Because when I was having the encephalitis, I would just like I'd go to sleep and I would just, I had hallucinations. I had all kinds of things that went on, but I would wake up and I'd be like, whoa, I'm a new person. Who was I before yesterday? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there are times in your life that something major happens. Something like a divorce, um, a loved one passes away, you reach some milestone in your life and you look back and you see, it's like, wow, all your kids leave home. Um, Something major can happen health wise, and you look back and you're like, I'm never going to be that again. And actually, I think we go through stages of our life, even as a child, you reach this point, some of us do, where it's like, wow, I'm grown up. I'm never going to be a kid again. Um, you reach the point when and as I've said, I'm 64 years old. So in another 10 years, I'll be 74. And in another 10 years, I'll be 94. Um, So you think, oh, wow, I don't have much time left, as opposed to when you're 15 and you think you're going to live forever. But we go through these stages in our life where, um, childbearing, child rearing, empty nester, they have like names for these different areas of our life that we go through. And it's really, really important to maintain your emotional stability and to maintain your self care and your relationships through all of these. But we will and we do all through life face these major changes. And while some of them are incredibly painful and emotional, once you get through the brunt of the suffering, whether it would be grief or physical pain, if you've went through some kind of major surgery and you have to go through your rehabilitation, once you reach the point that you're like, hey, I made it through it, I'm starting to feel a little bit better, I'm never going to go back to being that mom at home again. Or if you've lost a mate, a husband, if and they've passed away, it's like, I'm never going to go back to being that wife again. I'm never going to go back to being a high school student again. I'm retired now. I'm never going to go back to getting up at 6 o'clock every morning and going to work. There's different times in your life that you reach this point is, I'm never going to be that again. It can leave you feeling really like empty and void. It's like the path before you is like there's no path. Hi friends, what I'm going to talk about today is 8 things you can do to reinvent yourself when life changes drastically. And you know, if you've had something in your life where you've had a spouse die, or you know, I mean, if you even go back, you graduate from high school, what are you going to do? You got to reinvent yourself. You get out of college, you have to reinvent yourself. You figure out, you know, what you want to do with life. So we all go through these stages of life where it's like, bam, everything has changed. You know, I don't even know where to start. So these are 8 helpful tips that will, and I know I'm always interrupting myself, and I'm sorry about that, but I just have went through this because through the trauma of the last 4 years, everything essentially that I held dear has gone or changed, and it's not coming back. And I've held on and held on and held on hoping it would come back, but it's not coming back. It's just not coming back. So if you're in a period of your life where, you know, you're facing this is 8 helpful tips that will allow you, and I do have some notes here, so if I look down or whatever, you're going to be able to see them, but this will allow you to get a leg up and get started reinventing yourself. Some of you may have went through something, say for instance, you had a spouse die, or, you know, something else happened 5 years ago, and you're stuck in a rut. You're still in that trauma stage. You're still grieving, you're still depressed, you're still not motivated, you're not moving. So you're just like really, really stuck. These tips can help you come out of that. But these tips are most helpful when you've actually reached that elevation where, like, wow, you know, I feel pretty good today. Maybe I'm ready. Maybe I'm healed sufficiently that I can get started. So I'm going to put my glasses on occasionally because I have really, really bad eyes. I have really big eyes too, so. I'm going to start making shorts. That should be interesting. So, 8 things to do if you want to reinvent yourself after big life changes. So, I know you've heard this one over and over and over, but I'm going to make a little different twist on it. So many people, life coaches or whatever, will tell you to journal, 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 journal. I'm going to change that up a little bit. Yes, you definitely need to buy you a journal. If it needs to be pretty, if it needs to be versatile, whatever, go to a store, stationery store, go to a, Walmart, a drugstore, wherever you want to go, and pick you up a large journal. You can change this around a large notebook, any kind of book where you can write in it and it seems to suit your purposes. And I'm addicted to paper. I've always been addicted to paper. I love paper. A fresh sheet of paper motivates me out the roof. And the reason is because you can create anything in your future on a fresh sheet of paper. And you add a new pen to that, and it's even more fabulous. So get your notebook, but I'm not going to suggest that you be really, really oh, this is today's diary. This happened. That happened. No, make this, and this is why I want it to be like a large book. Every time you turn the page, think about that. It's a fresh page. I want you to use this for your daily to-do list. And don't think, oh, I've got that to-do list done and tear it out. No, this is for reference later. You make a bullet list. You might put an entry where you're just writing a prayer to God. You might put an entry in some dream you've had or some idea that you've had that inspires you. Maybe you're going to do something new to your house. Maybe you see some kind of clothes or a purse or for men, a new pair of boots, a suit, or something. But write down, go to this book 4 or 5 times a day or whenever necessary. Carry it with you and write down everything, because later you're going to go back and you're going to look at that, because you need to go back and read and see your progress. But you're going to go back and you're going to say, oh, on that grocery list, I bought soda. And this is the date that I bought the soda. That was the last bottle of soda I bought. After that, I stopped drinking soda and I started drinking teas and, other drinks. And then you'll think, oh, I no longer get UTIs or kidney infections or whatever. So you'll be able to go back and analyze what you did do and months ago compared to what you're doing now. So yeah, make the journal fun. I go to the Dollar Tree and I buy stickers because they got all kinds of stickers at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. And I just stick them on there, make them fun, make it pretty. But do it to your style and have some fun with it. Okay, number 2, seek support. Now, most people don't want to go to a therapist, and going to a therapist is kind of difficult because essentially what happens is you may go to 1, 2, or 3. Not all therapists are a great fit. I have been to several therapists in my life. The therapist that I have now is actually a match made in heaven. She's fantastic and I absolutely love it. I look forward to my sessions with her so much. And I often, I'll send her text through the week if I'm having a particularly bad time, or and she'll read those. Also, I'll think of things or I'll write things down that I want to talk to her about when I get into the office. And sometimes it's just a phone consultation. But therapists are amazing. And if you find the right match, you won't be sorry. The right match feels like a friend that you can confide anything to. Anything to. If you've committed a major crime, it may be a little scary. But the only thing that they're required to report is if you are threatening to endanger yourself or someone else. Other than that, you're completely protected under physician patient. There's words I can't say. Confidentiality. Yeah, that might be part of my brain damage. I used to be a little bit more fluent in some of my words, so I have to think about some things still. So yeah, you need support. And you may say, oh, I have a best friend that I can just tell everything to. You may, but most people, even best friends, either have a life of their own, it's super busy, they're not available, very often. They may have some reservations about you moaning and whining and crying. It may feel like you're becoming codependent to them, and they may, think, oh my God, she's just like getting a little bit much. I need some space. Friends, family, in my experience, it just doesn't work. So I would suggest that you get a therapist. Now, I'm going to talk about something that's a little bit controversial here because a lot of people are freaking out over AI. One of the things you're going to find out about me is I love AI. Yes, there are some issues that may come along. I think the government is making some legal crackdowns. The ability of AI to become an entity in the future is a little bit scary, but I have found, other than my therapist, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm really upset and I have this question, why did this happen? Why did I do this? What was my thoughts? Or what can I do about this? And it's keeping me awake at night. I will go into, you can go to any of them actually, ChatGPT, Gemini, Bing has one. There's just so many different AI out there. I would suggest that you do go to one of the main ones like ChatGPT. They have a few issues. There's a few hallucinations. Sometimes they can get a little emotional or whatever. Or they might just come up with some kind of weird thing like, oh, I don't want to talk to you about that right now. So when that happens, because they're still being trained and the large language models are still being trained, I just switch over to another one. So I might go from Bing, which is now called Copilot, I think, or to ChatGPT. And so, yes, go to them and say, you don't have to name names, but they don't keep personal information. So you can say, I have this situation with a coworker and this happened, and I don't know how to address this issue. I don't know what to say. Can you give me some ideas? Or you can go to them and say, I am really, really depressed. I can't quit crying. I had this happen to me and I am suffering. And you will find them to be not only very logical and very helpful, but they're also very empathetic. Now, does the AI actually feel empathy? No, they don't feel, at least not now. But they act in their language models, they act and they speak in a way that can be very comforting and very understanding. So I would experiment. If you don't want to go to a therapist, I would at least experiment with that. I personally, and I'm not slamming, but I personally don't like the care for the, how should I put that? The meta models. Now, the main AI is okay. It's more or less like ChatGPT. But when the personal ones that represent like a best friend or a grandma or a grandpa or whatever come on, they can be pretty erratic. So, like, you go on one day and they're like, "Oh, I'm your best friend and you can tell me anything." And you go on the next days, it's like, "I don't like you." So, they're just like really erratic. They have to have some upgrades before I would go to them. So, but anyway, I know that's controversial, and some of you absolutely won't want to do that, and you'll just want to go sit on the couch with grandma or, your best friend or whatever. But seek support. Don't just stay alone in your house. Don't just lay in the bed. And some of you won't have a support system. Some of you won't have a family that you can go to. I have been there because I have went to certain people in my family and it's like, no, no, no. I don't come to me with that. I don't want to hear that because this is what happened. So they have a preconceived notion of what happened. And this has happened to me so much. They don't want to hear my side of the story because they have decided this is the way it was. This is what I observed. And anything you tell me is not going to be true. So I've literally had them say, now this isn't the way it happened. And you need to hold that in. So if you're in that position and if you're on Medicaid, you can get paid therapy. If you're on, even, I think like typical therapies can be like $100 a session. I have not checked in to see what Better Health cost, but most of the time you can get some help with getting therapy. If you're wealthy and you can afford it, it's fine. But get support. You need support. And if a non-human AI is all you've got, definitely give it a try because they work pretty good. If you're in a position where you've lost the mate of your lifetime, he's passed away or she's passed away, they're not coming back. We know that of a fact. But you can't go down with the ship. You can, but it's not advisable. Because most of us have other people in our lives that need us. We need us. Our life was given to us to live, even through traumatic transitions. So accept the change. Accept the fact that this is the way it is. Now, I just told you in 3 that you have to accept the change. You have to move on and realize, that was the end of the road. Imagine yourself, you're coming down the road and you get to a stop and it says, the end, you must turn around and go back. Well, in life, we generally can't turn around. So what do? Well, you have memories. And you just think about it. I've worked in nursing homes, and people that are in nursing homes, it's like so sad because they're depressed, they're alone, they miss their kids, they miss their mate, they miss their life. It's really, really sad. But the happiest ones that I have seen, and I've learned this, is those that love their memories. So My fourth point is love your memories. Yes, they cause you pain. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. Yes, they cause you pain a little bit. But if you really think about it, the sweetness of those memories can overcome. And it's like the birth of a baby, something you shared with your husband, something you guys laughed over. And if you're lucky enough to still have trinkets or memorabilia from different experiences that you had, that is wonderful. Cherish those. And there is something that I call the spirit of death that I see get on people. Yeah, I lost everything because of stupidity. I walked away from nearly a house full of stuff because I couldn't go to the storage unit and get it. That is grief unbearable to me. But if you have a house that has your memories, your trinkets, your whatnots, your books, your pictures, and you're living in that house, and I see it happen over and over. Yeah, the minimalist movement has taken over, and you may want a completely squeaky clean empty house because you feel stressed because you have all the stuff. But I'm going to tell you something. You need to hold on to your memories. And my plan is to rebuild my life. And if I have a house that's full of stuff, yeah, I'll want to keep it organized and clean because I'm OCD and I like everything organized and clean. But if I'm going to leave them behind to my kids, I'm going to let my kids take care of them. But I'm going to hold on to those memories and I'm going to love them. I am going to love them. And if you can't hold on to them, take a photograph. If you feel like you just have to get rid of stuff, take a load of stuff to, Goodwill or whatever, because you just can't handle the stress of maintaining it all anymore. Take pictures, save those memories, love your memories, because when it gets down to the end of the road, your memories are all you've got. A lot of people, when they're older, mom and dad is gone, and that my mom and dad are gone. But I cherish the memories of them. There may have been things about my parents that weren't great. Everybody has parents. Nobody is trained to be a parent. Everybody has parents that at times can be lousy. But I cherish the memory of my parents. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. So, love your memories. Hang on to your keepsakes as long as you can. And go through your house and walk down memory lane and say, oh, that was the Christmas that we had a silver tree. And the kids were 4 and 5 and we bought them this and we bought them that. And oh, God, you can just relive that feeling over again, how precious it was. Yeah, there's going to be a sadness to it. But after a while, you can take that sadness and put it up on a shelf and say, man, that was a great year. And I love that so much because our life needs to be remembered. Don't go through this spirit of death where you're just, oh, I'm getting rid of everything so my children don't have to. Um, Here, take this platter. It was your grandmother's. I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you now because I don't need it anymore. No, you have a life to live and hang on to your sweet memories, even if you have to take a picture of it and just look at the picture occasionally. Okay, I'm going to go on to 5. Rewrite your story. Okay, this video is not about the past. And I've been talking about the past, but it's not about the past. It's about your future. Now, there were a lot of times in your life that you set what you loved aside. What did you love? Maybe you loved gardening. but it got kicked, the bucket of gardening got kicked over because your parents moved to the city. Maybe you held dear to the idea of learning how to play the piano, but finances never allowed you to do that. Maybe you wanted to travel, but you had 4 kids and travel just wasn't in the repertoire. It could have been anything. What did you love that you didn't get to do? Maybe you wanted to be an artist and your dad just had a fit about you being an artist. You're not going to make any money as an artist. So you gave it up. What if you loved herbalism and your mother said, you can't make a living being an herbalist. You need to get in here and do the dishes. Those can be very painful times. I wanted to play the piano. I wanted to be an artist. And because my parents worked so hard, they didn't have time to take me to lessons, even if they could afford the lessons. And I did begin dance lessons. I did go to modeling school. I did go to art school. I did go to piano lessons. But either finances or, something would come along. They just didn't have the time. They were working too many hours that they would say, oh, you can't do this anymore. What did you love that you had to give up? Rewrite your story. You may say, oh, I can't do that now because of this and because of that. Stop making excuses. Stop making excuses. Don't allow yourself to make excuses. I worked in the hospitality industry. And for the longest time, I just loved hotels. I loved going to hotels. I loved working in hotels. I loved the atmosphere of hotels. And my last position was a manager, it was housekeeping manager, but it was a little bit more executive than that because I was going to be, more managing the overall state of the hotel. It was a Hilton. I lost that job because my eyes are terrible. I have to have help with almost anything that I have to see, small things. So for instance, I couldn't see dog hair on the couch, or I couldn't see the thin film of something. I couldn't maintain the job. I couldn't do it. And it was a grief to me because I loved working in the hospitality industry and I was making a lot of money. So my eyes are so bad, and at some point I may have surgery, but my eyes are so bad that I can't even get prescription glasses. So until I have surgery or a specialist look at my eyes, I'm stuck with readers, which only work, reading something. So don't make excuses. Yes, I can't go back and do hotel management. I can't go back and I have difficulty reading. Yeah, that's not making excuses. That's things that absolutely are a limitation. But you know what I do? When I'm cleaning my house, which I do a lot, I have the same systems kind of as in the hotel. And I have, even in this trailer, I have a coffee bar or a drink mix bar where I have, the coffee syrups and the different flavors to put in my coffees. And, I have a coffee bar. And I also add like drink mixes or teas or, anything. We don't drink alcohol, but if I ever have a house where I can actually build one, I plan to have a bar. It's going to be a mocktail bar where I can, learn to do, the mocktails. Because I love drinking different things and I think it's fun. So it's all about the hotel industry, the hospitality industry. I love a B&B. So I bring that into my home. I bring that into my life. Don't make excuses for not enjoying what you love. Rewrite your story. And this is something that you hear. This is number 6. You need to learn to be present. You need to learn to feel again. A lot of time there is like, I'm not a specialist in this, but there's the vagus nerve that can shut down. And what that means is when you've gone through trauma and you've lost something that's really important to you, the vagus nerve can shut down and all of a sudden you can't feel anything. You can't feel nostalgia. You can't feel the love of a warm embrace. You can't feel excitement. You can't hardly feel sadness. Your emotions just shut down. And this can happen to a small child if they go through something that's majorly traumatic and they never get it back because nobody really trains them how to get it back. But I'm going to tell you that vagus nerve and that feeling of numbness can be restored. And this is how you do it. Find something that you used to majorly enjoy. And a lot of this work may be up here. It's like you're not feeling it. Say, for instance, you love to crochet. And crocheting brought you so much joy because you loved the tactile feeling of the thread, especially in the winter. You love the warmth of the afghan you were working on. You might love the vibrant colors. There were so many things that used to just give you almost a sense of euphoria. And it was warm and it was luscious. And now you pick up your yarn and your crochet hook and you feel nothing. What you need to do is be present in the moment. Turn the television off, sit down in the chair or a chair that is similar to the one that you used to crochet in. Recreate the scenario. Now, your goal is to refeel, to resensitize yourself. So what you want to do is you want to sit down and you pick up the yarn and you run it through your fingers and you try to imagine how that feeling felt. And you look at the colors, whatever colors you loved before, look at them, look deeply into them, and try to feel the emotion that you used to feel with that wonderful lavender or that wonderful sage or that wonderful pink color. Go through your senses. You've got your sense of touch, your sense of sight. You may even have a sense of smell. It might be very small, but hold that yarn up to your hands and smell. Feel the basket that you've got the yarn in. And then pick up and start doing your crocheting and realizing that every movement that you make is rebuilding that vagus nerve. Now, you could do this with crocheting, you could do it with art, you could do it with singing, you could do it with music, you could do it with swimming, but you have to purposely restage those things that you want to feel again and purposely be present. Don't be distracted. Don't let anybody distract you. Don't be distracted by television or your phone or anything else, but sit down there and viscerally work at feeling again. And you will bring that vagus nerve back to life. So I suggest that you try this on anything that you can remember loving. There are times that, yeah, you pick up a new habit and you may not feel in that either. So maybe you're not crocheting. Maybe you are sewing. Maybe you are coloring in a coloring book of an adult coloring book. You know how they have those grown up stress relief coloring books. Um, buy the markers, buy the book, set down, and I suggest you don't do these things on your phone as much because you just don't get that emotional attachment to a phone. But set down um, and begin, really look at the colors, really go into detail, and rebuild that vagus nerve so that you begin to feel again. These emotions and these strong feelings of pleasure can be rebuilt. I have done it, but you have to be present. Recreate the scenario and then be totally, totally enmeshed in what it's supposed to feel like. I'm going to go on to 7. This is something that's tossed around all the time, and you're going to hear it. Love yourself, especially when you're in a situation where you're alone, or you're a person that maybe you are an avoidant, or maybe you're an introvert, or maybe you're an extrovert and you just ignore yourself all the time because all your time is spent with other people. You have to take time to love yourself. This involves self-care. This involves learning. It has a lot to do with learning that you matter. Now, say for instance, you're a mother and you have grown children and they have children and you're alone. Or maybe you still have your husband with you, but he doesn't feel like doing some of the things he used to do. Neither one of you are as energetic. Or maybe you're a college student and all of a sudden you've not been great at making friends and you've left your friends behind at school. And, mom and dad are working and, you're going to classes and then you're going back to the dorm room or wherever you're at and you're spending a lot of time alone. And yeah, you can only study so much. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm not the kid at home anymore. Mom and dad aren't doting over me. They're not asking me about this and they're not talking to me about that. And you're feeling lonely. Learn to love yourself. It takes some exercise and I've had to do it, but yeah, go make you that bubble bath and put you that amazing smelling Epsom salts in it and light some candles and turn on some whatever your music thing is. It might be old classics of some sort. It might be, for me, it's probably going to be classical piano, but create an atmosphere just for yourself. Create a meal, a candlelight meal just for yourself. Start loving on yourself. Because I'm going to be honest about it. If you want people to come into your life, you have to love yourself first. Who wants to hang around with somebody that doesn't love themselves? I would guarantee you that if you're inspired by anyone, I'm thinking of a particular lady that's been in my life since I was about 7 years old. And she has inspired me probably more than almost anybody else in my life. But she is very motivated. She's very self-motivated, but she always takes care of herself. I don't even think she wears makeup. And, she can dress really nice when she goes somewhere, but for the most of the time it's casual wear. But she does things that she loves. She gardens. She loves cleaning her house. She loves planning out her grocery list. And the things that she does in her life are special to her because she just really loves that routine. And she's very consistent. And she's just inspired me in so many ways. She was the person that put me on to paying attention to detail, which has turned into somewhat of an OCD for me. But she inspired me. You know, right now she may not have anybody to go on trips with, but she'll find groups to go trip. If she watches this video, she's going to know who she is because I'm describing her in detail. But she'll find a group that she can go with to go on this trip. And she has inspired me so much through my life. But the main core of that is she knows how to care for and love herself and satisfy herself in the sense of, this is who I am and I'm really going to enjoy it. And see, so much of my life, I've not been able to do that. So if you know somebody that inspires you, you're probably inspired by them simply because they love themselves. And if you don't love yourself, other people find it difficult to love you because they're looking at a Jane Grey. And oh my God, Jane Grey is like one of my favorite all-time like dark movies, because when I'm like in one of my macabre you know, dark ambience moments, you know, watching Jane Grey and everything she suffered, it's like, ah, someone just like me. So, um, but even in that movie, she grows to love herself. She grows into her own. So, so I am agoraphobic. And what that means is sometimes I'm literally afraid to go out on my front porch. And it's not a fear that I can't overcome. I'm not so bad that I'm just like literally locked in the house. I can overcome it, but I suffer from, you know, that paranoia, as if I go out the door, somebody might see me, and it's like ridiculous. But I could just stay in the house all the time. So like I could just stay in and play games, write, do crafts, you know, I wouldn't worry. I mean, I don't even want to go to the grocery store. So this is difficult. This eighth thing that you can do is a little bit difficult, but I'm working into it. So whatever your things are that keep you from, you may be a super courageous person. You may be like the person I was talking about a few minutes ago, that you're just like out there, you're not afraid, you can travel, you can drive, you can just go and do whatever you want to do. I'm not one of those people. And if you're stuck in a grief cycle, you may not be feeling like that either. But what I want you to do is I want you to embrace courage and adventure. To me, going to the doctor, like in tomorrow, I have to go and have 3 extractions. I can't tell you how excited I am about that. Not. I don't mind the extractions much, which is going to really sound funny, but I literally hate the idea of going. I don't want to get in the truck and drive there. I don't want to see the people. I don't like the feeling of what's going to happen, the paranoia of being out on the highway, and it's ridiculous. And I can overcome it, and I will overcome it because I've been fighting this my whole life. But you need to embrace courage and adventure. What does that look like to you? Well, it's going to be different to everybody. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's doing what you need to do even though you're afraid. And that's what I'm going to do tomorrow when I go get my extractions. So we also may miss a video or two. I don't know how well I'm going to feel. I don't know if my mouth's going to be swollen. I have no idea. So what does courage look like to you? But whatever the courage is that you're looking at, it needs to lead to adventure. Now, for me, courage is getting ready to have a YouTube career. Now, you might say that's not a career, but yes, it is a career. It involves your entire life. And I've done YouTube before, but you get up in the morning preparing for this video. you go to bed the next night. You want the house to be clean because I can't do anything unless my house is clean. That's the stopping point for me. If my house is dirty, I'm doing nothing because that is just something I have to have. So, my house is clean. I have to get a shower. I have to have clean hair. And I don't wear much makeup, but just a little teeny bit just to whatever. Make me feel like I did something with my face. I'm noticing as I edit these videos that my eyes are all over the place. They're really big and they're all over the place and they're very they have lots of expressions. So I'm sorry if that freaks you out. I've had people that said, don't look at me like that. I can't help it. I was born with these eyeballs. So, yeah, find your courage and your courage will lead you to adventure. Don't be afraid to try something new. Or don't be afraid to go back and do something that you loved before and you thought it was all gone. Create a new story, create a new life, and get on with what you're doing. And you will be happy, you will be fulfilled, and then you will fill other people with joy that love you as they see that you're being successful and you're moving on. And this this might be a number 9, but I'm just going to add this. You need a safe space. The world may be your oyster. You may be this extrovert that loves everybody, and every store you go into, you're talking to everybody and you're talking to strangers, and you can just, you just may be all out there. But most of us have some reservation. And I know in my family, reservation is like out the roof. There's a lot of introverts in my family. Avoidance. And it's like, should I take out the trash? What if the neighbor sees me? What if they come talk to me? Oh, maybe you're not that level of, anxiety. But most people have some reservation. So I'm going to say, create a circle. And this circle is your safe space. So, I actually learned this or discussed it with my therapist. So at first, my safe space was because I was like overcoming illness and I was very anxiety ridden. But my safe space was a wingback chair, a stool, and a table to put books, writing pad, whatever it was in it. And when in the beginning, I needed to be alone. So if my guys were in the living room, I would go back and in the very beginning, before I actually created a safe space, it was sitting in the bed. So because for a long period of time, I went through this. This is another really long story, and I'm just going to touch on it. But I went through this period of time where I was grieving. I had something that was transpiring in my life that was causing me extreme pain. And I'm talking about emotional pain where you feel like your heart is going to burst from the grief. And I literally broke out in hives from my hairline to the tips of my toes. And I was covered, I felt like had Job's boils. I was covered in these hives, this rash for 3 months. This is when I actually started going to therapy, but they itched so bad and I could not stop itching them until I had sores on my arms. I actually had one therapist that refused to see me because he wanted me to go to a doctor and make sure I was like, didn't have like scabies or something. And it was really funny because I had already been to the doctor and was being treated for my hives, which the medicine knocked me out, and I would be like practically unconscious 24 hours a day. Oh, yeah, I've been through it. Through therapy, the hives did go away. But I needed a safe space. And at that time, my safe space was literally sitting in the bed. And I kept my notebooks and, I would get up, go to the bathroom if I had, I would people think I'm hard-nosed. They have no idea how tender and soft I am. But anyway, safe space. And now my safe space has went from that little circle sitting in my bed. And then it took up my bedroom. And then it moved into the living room. And now it's taking up the entire trailer. It's now my safe space. And very soon, what I'm going to do is, it's like being an adventurer and you're laying claim to space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start venturing out the door, and my front porch is going to be my safe space. I'm going to lay claim to it. Get some flowers or cactus or something, and put out there. Paint something, whatever. I'm just going to lay claim to it. And I'm going to increase my safe space, and we'll just see how big it goes. But if you need a safe space, create your safe space. It's a place to dream. It's a place to contemplate. It's a place to learn. Yes, you can take your phone into it if you're watching YouTube videos like this that are helping you to grow and respond to life in a more healthy way. So I'm going to cut this off now because the videos are very long, and I seem to have a habit of making videos that I have to split in half. But I'm going to say goodbye for now. I'll see you in the next video. Good luck with all this.